Hi, everybody. I just want to welcome to another chat, live stream chat here on the NerdSync YouTube channel about videos and things like that. Hopefully, you guys are here and liking it. I'm joined this week by the one, the only, Laurent Reedus. How's it going, bud?
Hi, Scott. It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm excited for you to be here to talk about Pixar stuff with me. Let me just make sure that this stream is live. I believe it's live. It says public. That's good. Hi everyone in the chat. We got Starpunk who's here, who's also helped in the video. To break down some Pixar cameras and things like that, which is very very fun. We got Christ Pratt is here, which I believe is like Chris Pratt, but Jesus. Um, we got Ray Clausen. So many cool people here. Thank you all for being here. We're just going to talk about Pixar stuff, and we're going to talk about the past videos that we made last week. So I'm excited about that. Let me know in the chat if you watched either one of our latest videos. I made one, obviously, about the cinematography of Pixar movies and how that has evolved throughout everything that they've done. And Laurent here made a video all about the Cars trilogy. Let's talk about that for a second, because how did this idea pop up?
Okay, so as you know, Scott, uh, I have a segment on my YouTube channel, which is Rita's youtube.com/Ritas101,
Mm-hmm.
called A Proper Movie Trilogy, where I go over the quote unquote formula of what makes a film trilogy a film trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's been an it was an idea it's been an idea that I wanted to do, and a storytelling mechanic that I've always felt tried and true over ever
Mm-hmm.
since I was given like the formulaic basis of it, thanks to, believe it or not, the Wes Craven's Scream trilogy, which in a way is
Yeah.
kind of which in a way it kind of acts as like, even though it's a parody
Yeah.
of slasher horror, it actually gives like a good advice and like tells you like the building bricks of what it takes to not just write like horror stories, but
Mm-hmm.
especially if you watch Scream 3, it gives you the a brief explanation of how like the third installments of trilogies actually tie everything together.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, some people might disagree that some people might say that Scream 3 doesn't do that. I disagree with them, but it's just personal taste at that point. But yeah,
Of course.
uh, yeah. So it's like if you look at how they explain if you look at how they explain how trilogies work, always tying back to the first one, and
Right.
then look at the other trilogies that you've grown up with in the past, like the original Star Wars trilogy, The Godfather, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, i.e., me, would go like, "Oh, holy crap! That actually makes sense." So I
Yeah.
wanted I wanted to break down what about what it is about the third installments of trilogies that ties everything together, associating it with the first one, and that's how a
Mm-hmm.
proper movie trilogy came about. And
Yeah.
for the longest, I've been thinking of my YouTuber friends who I know are into film and everything like that, that I could possibly collab on. And
Mm-hmm.
you and I have been collab has basically been working together ever since my YouTube debut. So I was like,
Oh
I
my
wonder if
goodness,
Scott
yeah.
wants in on it.
It's
And
been
so
it's
I
been a it's been a beat. It's been a long journey, and
yes,
it's always fun working with you.
thank you. It's always fun working with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was, I think it was after I made my video essay explaining the Scream trilogy and how it works,
Mm-hmm.
which was my backdoor pilot into the proper movie trilogy segment. Um, that I was like, well, you've obviously seen the video. Do you want to do? Do you want to do a? Do you want to do? You want to do a collab one of these days whenever you have free time? You're on a Fast and Furious kick. You want to do you
That's
want to do a
right.
video on the Fast and
That's
Furious?
that's right. I got a call out of the blue. Let me set this story up for you all. This is how this collab happened, all right? I want to paint you a nice beautiful word picture.
Yes.
I was at home working on stuff, and then out of the blue I get a call from Laron, unprompted. I don't think you had told me that you were gonna call me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"This is weird. This is strange. Okay, hi, what's going on?" And you were like, "Scott, you like Fast and Furious movies?" And I was like, "Of course I do. That's the if everyone knows that about me." And then you proceed to pitch me this idea of doing a collab about talking about the first three Fast and Furious movies, and I went on to this big rant about how I'm not a particularly big fan of Tokyo Drift. I
Mhm.
I respect it. I see its merits. I think it has some of the best driving in the franchise because it's real driving. It's
Mhm.
incredibly impressive. I just really hate the main character of Tokyo Drift. I don't think that's a controversial statement to say that.
No, it's not. It's not controversial at all. I can
Yeah.
see why.
So we started talking about this, and this was like last year. This
Hmm.
was this was sometime, I believe, before it had to have been before September of last year. Like it was almost a year ago, it seems,
Yeah.
that we started planning this out. And then this year, a couple months ago, you reached out and you were like, "Hey, Scott, remember that whole thing about doing a movie trilogy collab, talking about movie trilogies?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And you're like, what kind of videos do you have in the pipeline that you think would
Hmm.
would line up with mine?" And I had at that point, I forgot that we were gonna do Fast and Furious, so I didn't cross my mind. But I looked at the list
Hmm.
of video ideas that I had for this year, and I was like, well, you know what I do have planned is I want to talk about Pixar. I've had this
Hmm.
idea for this video planned ever since I saw Soul in December. I believe it came out on Christmas or
You
something like
did,
that.
yeah.
Ever since I saw Soul, I was like, I have to talk about this movie. The camera work is so interesting and so amazing. And then, of course, that kind of the interest in Soul kind of came and went by the
Hmm.
time I was able to make videos again. And then Luca came out, and I was like, but Luca also very good. And
Right.
so it just reignited this interest in me to talk about the camera work in Pixar. And so when you were like, "What videos do you have lined up that could work into this trilogy idea?" I was like, "Well, I want to talk about Pixar. But Pixar really only has one trilogy because
Right.
Toy Story has four films, and I don't know if that
Hmm.
counts. I don't know if we have to do just the first or if it has to be a thing about the first three."
Right.
Um, and obviously, in hindsight, I know that I could have done Toy Story. Like we would
You
have.
could have done Toy Story. I totally did a proper movie trilogy on specifically the first three
Yeah,
alien movies because those are the only ones that exist.
yeah.
Um
I mean,
so
you did.
yeah, will you
You mentioned Scream. There's definitely been more than the three.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If anything, Scream 4 is just like either an epilogue or just like a one shot.
Right. And in my head, I was like, the only true trilogy that Pixar has, despite all belief, is Cars.
Hmm.
And so I had never seen the Cars movies,
Right.
and neither had you, right?
I've only seen the first one. I never bothered to watch 2 or 3 before making
Mm-hmm.
this video.
And so, I mean, we obviously we had so many thoughts to say about them in your video, and I think we talked so much about. I mean, I talked a lot about Cars too, obviously, in your video.
Obviously.
By the way, these videos that we're going to be talking about are linked in the description if you haven't seen them yet. I've done a video about Pixar cinematography, and Laurent helped me out for that one. And then Laurent's
Hmm.
channel has a video all about the Cars trilogy, and I appeared in that one mostly to rant about Cars 2. And that is also in the description below. So
You
if you
did
haven't
more
watched
than just
those,
rant about Cars 2. You put in creative input about more than just Cars 2.
well, I think we got stuck on Cars because your sort of philosophy with the trilogies is that the third movie sets up it kind of takes information from the first one and adds kind of a twist to it.
Hmm.
Um, and I honestly felt watching Cars 3, I was like, this isn't bad. Like
Hmm.
it's not like a bad movie that I want to fix. It's like it's a good movie that just maybe needs
Right.
a little tweaks here and there.
Exactly. And sometimes that's all it needs. Like, of course, you're gonna have your stinkers, and then you're going to
Mhm.
have the ones that like have nothing to do with any with the previous installments at all. Like for example, it's like uh, one of the videos that I did was on The Conjuring because The Conjuring Part Three, The Devil Made Me Do It, recently came out this summer, and it was available for HBO Max, so people could watch it if they had like the $15 plan
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't feel like going to the movie theater. And it's like that movie isn't bad, but it doesn't tie in to the first one at all. And I kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand why the the Conjuring movies are based off of true events.
Right.
So if you're going to have case files or real life situations revolving like fictional situations revolving around real life case files
Mm-hmm.
like The Devil Made Me Do It did, then of course you're the fictional portion of it is going to be a way of tying it into the fictional portion of like previous movies. And it was like
Right.
that's pretty much all that it needed to be fixed. Just a few tweaks here and there, give the clearly fantasy villain that wasn't associated with the real life case of the old dude whose defense was I was possessed. That's why I killed old dude. That's the plot of the movie. That's the plot. That's basically the plot of the third Conjuring movie. He claimed demonic possession as reason as his not guilty plea. Um,
Interesting. I've not seen
yeah,
any of those movies.
it was. Listen,
Uh
I
huh.
was.
Lay it on
It
me.
was. It was. It was. It was a mix of it was mix of curiosity and
Mm-hmm.
seeing
Mm-hmm.
what everybody was watching that month, and I was like, well, I mean, I'm kind of interested. And then I saw the first Conjuring movie, and I saw how it basically treated like the Annabelle doll as like the Ark of the Covenant
Right.
artifact of this franchise. It's like, okay, so this is Catholic Indiana Jones meets the Avengers. Got it.
Right. Right. Right.
But but yeah, they don't always have to be bad movies that need to be remade. They
Of
can be
course
good
not.
movies, but just they can be good movies, but just they better, but just also better tied into the first installment, like either subtly or in a big way.
Absolutely. Um, I am sorry. Someone posted something in the chat that I wanted to research and make sure was accurate. Laurent, is it your? It's not your birthday today, but it's your birthday
No, it's
soon.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Happy early birthday! Can we get some happy birthdays in the
Thank
chat
you.
for Laurent?
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I've saved a whole bunch of comments to talk over too. Um, just because there's been so many. First of all, thank you so much, Ray Clausen, for the super chat. Very appreciated. You're awesome. Ray Clausen was also the one who said happy birthday, Laurent. So you got
Oh,
your
thank you,
that was the
Ray.
very first person to say that. Um, let's see. We've got Jared McPherson says Luca has some of the best photography. It's amazing. I agree. It's such a beautiful film. What did you think? What were your overall thoughts? Because I know you've made videos about Luca, but have you made a review of it, or
No,
what are your thoughts about it?
I haven't made a review of it, but I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. You can definitely see like the Studio Ghibli inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
and B, I can't remember the name of the studio, but
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely like hints of like Wallace and Gromit esque like character designs
I agree.
and body movements.
It feels like it's claymation, even though it's
Yeah,
computer animation. Yeah.
exactly. It's like specifically that one scene where like Alberto tries the pasta for the first time, and he just the way he opens his mouth, it was like, ah man, that looks like that came out straight off a chicken run.
Mhm. You're exactly right. It's such a unique style, and I appreciate that because I do feel like Pixar for a while has been getting more and more realistic. Like they still have
Hmm.
cartoony character designs, but a lot of like the settings and like they're almost like photorealistic. Like
Yeah.
I think about the Toy Story 4
Hmm.
where there's that whole famous scene where the cat is like stretching in the sunbeam and it just looks like a real cat. Like it doesn't even look like
Hmm.
a computer animated cat. And so
Hmm.
it's nice to see Pixar firmly planting that like no, our goal is not to do fully realistic things with computer animation, we still want to do stuff that's stylistic. Because now the cat
Hmm.
in this movie is totally not realistic, but is like an incredible character, and I love the design of the
Yes,
cat. What's the cat's name? Machiavelli, is it?
I think so. I think
Um,
so. I have to check.
it's it's something like that. I love that little character. What a good cat. Yeah, I just think it's such a stylistically different movie from a lot of Pixar's. They really, planted their feet to say like this is different, and we're gonna embrace
Hmm.
the different. And I even think Red, their other movie that's coming out, has a lot of
Yeah,
is also very different.
I've noticed the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is very, very good. A lot of people saying happy birthday to you in the chat. I don't know
Thank
if
you. Thank you.
you've seen it.
I have no, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very lovely, very nice. Um, Golden Pelt says I haven't watched Laron's video yet, but your Luca videos are how this person first found you. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of that. Also, a lot of bots that were created within the year just to bad talk me. But we just delete those
uh huh.
comments and block them here. It's
Get him
fine.
out of here. Get him out of
Exactly.
here.
But
Yeah.
yes, I'm so glad that you all enjoyed the videos that I made for Luca. It, it's just it really matters. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah. Oh, they're very good, and yeah, I just think that whole, I mean, just the movie's really good, and I could talk about it for ages. And I
Hmm.
feel like I did in my in my video. I went a really long route to talk about a scene from Luca that I liked. I was like, but first we need to talk about every other film that Pixar has made.
Listen, you have your catchphrases context it involves is specifically about context, so it's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
it's a part of your brand.
It's part of it. It's part of the brand. So yeah, I appreciate everyone watching it and sharing it. It's kind of a slow burn video right now, just because I think a lot of people have not clicked on it just
Hmm.
because they're worried about spoilers, and I do start the video immediately with like, "Hey, spoilers for Luca!" Oh, almost forgot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of you guys who have watched either of our videos. Let's see. We've got a couple other comments. Adam Barber says, "I finally got my NerdSync merch, and I'm so happy." Thanks, Adam. Hey, if you haven't noticed, my name is nerdsyncstore.com because that's where you can get merch. Go check it out. Because we're almost out of shirts. If you want a shirt that says no content, only context, almost out. Single digits for all the sizes. In fact, one of the sizes is fully out, 0. So really got to get in on it. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. We have a ton of comments from Starpunk DMC, who, as I mentioned earlier, also was a huge help with my video, talking about camera lenses and camera work for Pixar. By the way, that interview, I teased in my video that like we had a Zoom call and I ended up not using it for my video. That is exporting currently and will be up on Patreon as some bonus content for everyone just to hear us talk about Pixar cameras for about half an hour. So that's very fun. But they say, yes, agreed about how trilogy should be structured. First one is setup. Second one is the consequences of the first. And the third brings it all back around. And that was like the biggest problem with Cars 2 is just that it doesn't
Hmm.
feel like it belongs in this franchise at all. It doesn't,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
It feels like one of those Mater's Tall Tales stories,
Hmm.
and but it's Cars 2. It's Cars 2. It's the second Cars, and it has nothing to do with any of them.
It's like it's like it's just like I mentioned in the video. Cars 2 felt more like filler than anything else. It's like I understood that the reason why the creator of Cars felt inspired to do like a all around the world thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was like your idea of just like just having it be about like the worldwide Grand Prix and have like all in all be like this performance enhancing drug, something like NOS, going back to Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Exactly.
And being like on a nitrous oxide like performance enhancer or something like that would have been a lot more interesting. Um, but yeah, they just gave Mater a gun and was
They
like,
gave Mater a gun, and they were
mm,
like, "That's what the kids wanted, right?
mm.
They wanted Mater with the gun." And that's what we gave them.
They wanted Mater with a gun and cars dying and their engines being blown
They
out.
wanted cars to explode and die because that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes it fun. And they wanted an incredibly convoluted espionage plot involving big oil conspiracies. For children, for the children who like to watch cars. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Because here's the thing: when you have the toys for cars, kids aren't just racing them or whatever or driving them around fast. No, they're like coming up with conspiracy plots for Mater to solve. That's how you play with the cars. You play them that way.
To be fair, some kids didn't necessarily have the action figures that they wanted in order to get things
That's
done in
true.
their head. So it's just like, just have two Hot Wheels talk to each other. It's fine.
That's fair. When I was growing up, I had a whole bunch of GI Joes, but I knew nothing about GI Joes. So
Exactly.
I instead I gave them their own names, and they
Yep.
were all superheroes with superpowers.
I had a Captain Commando action figure from Marvel vs. Capcom 1 era. I had no idea who Captain Commando was. So because he had a star on his chest, I called him Captain Star.
Captain
And then
Star.
and then I played Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I was like, oh, his name is Commando. Well, at least I got the captain right.
What are the odds? You did it.
Exactly.
You did it. We got John Johnson who says Cars 2 is the Dark Souls of cars. I guess so. It is in that it is incredibly hard to get through. I agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, no, whenever a car dies, they just rekindle next to a bonfire and they just have to find their old engine to reclaim their oil.
Who's
So that they can
starting the
properly level up.
bonfires? How do they have that kind of dexterity? That was the thing that you brought up about Cars 3 that didn't even click with me was that they'd mentioned that Doc Hudson wrote letters
Exactly.
about Lightning McQueen, and I was like, how?
How?
Like that's incredibly
Exactly.
sweet, but how?
I just imagine that they just turn their tires into hands like the taxi from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's it's stuff like that where it's like obviously we shouldn't question it. We should just let it live in its own world, but at the same time I can't stop thinking about it. It's the only thing that my brain can come up with at night.
I'm just glad that we didn't extend this project into planes. I don't feel like it's like, man. So I appreciate what Dane Cook did for me in college, but I don't feel like having to sit through a movie that he had to voice for Disney in order to do a video on it.
I did not even realize that he was the voice of Planes. He was the voice of Planes McQueen, I believe was the name. I can't remember.
Yes.
I never watched it, but wow.
I've only seen trailers, but I was able to like, is that it's kind of like how Ryan Reynolds' voice at this point in time, you've grown up with him for so long that you can tell.
Sure.
Even when he's playing a different character, it's like there aren't that many Dane Cook movies that are good that I'm willing to rewatch that I can do. But it's like stand-up specials and like AMVs has his voice embedded in my head to the point where it's like if I see him in plane form and hear him in plane form, I'm like, is that Dane Cook as a plane?
I briefly met Dane Cook. I forgot about this until right now as we're talking about Dane Cook.
How did that go?
This is going to be like the most bonkers story, and because this all happened in one day that will never repeat itself in my whole life because I was just so fortunate and so lucky to be able to do this. But I went in 2015. I think it must have been 2016. I went to whenever the Captain America Civil War movie came out. I went to the premiere of that, which was incredibly fortunate. I've never been invited back to a premiere just because I wasn't aggressive enough when asking for Stan Lee's signature or photo or whatever. And so the company was like, no, never again were we inviting you. We'll invite everybody else, but not you. I'm definitely not bitter about it, as you can tell. But so met a whole bunch of cool people, went into the theater, and the theater's full of fans. It's full of celebrities, whatever. We're sitting pretty far in the back. and it's me and another YouTuber who I will not name drop, but another comic book YouTuber. We're sitting together, and the whole day he was talking about how much he loved Dane Cook. He was like, "Man, I don't know, I just like Dane. I just like Dane Cook. His comedy really impacted me." And I just, he just kept mentioning it. And then we sat down. I walked through our aisle first, and I notice on the way, like literally in between, like we're assigned seats. So my seat, as I'm going into the aisle, I have to pass Dane Cook, who's also just sitting in the same aisle. He is one seat away from me. We are assigned seats. Guess who is sitting in the seat between us? It's that other YouTuber friend of mine who is like talking about Dane Cook. He doesn't even notice. Doesn't even notice. He walks in and he sits down and he's like, "Oh man, it's crazy out there, huh?" And I'm like, "Hey, bud, did you notice at all who you're sitting next to?" And then he just slowly goes, "Oh my God." And it just whispers like, "This is the best day ever." And throughout the whole movie, he was working up the courage to like say something. So as soon as the credits roll, he turns to Dane Cook and is just like, "Hey, I'm such a big fan." And so we started chatting very briefly, but it was just a very funny experience that I fully forgot about until we started talking about Dane Cook. Holy cow. What an unlocked memory in my brain.
See what happens when you at least mention a single branch of the multiverse that is the Cars timeline.
Unbelievable. Because Planes is not a Pixar movie. That is
It is not.
Disney took that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Disney took that and was like, "We'll do that." Is it connected at all? Like, is it in the same universe?
I don't know. I haven't watched any of them because I don't care.
Yeah.
But
people keep describing it as a spin-off, but I don't think it's a spin-off. I think it's just Disney being like, "Well, they did Cars, so we'll do Planes." And it's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, so, pretty much.
Yeah. Let's see. Awesome person in the chat says, "I've seen both Planes movies and I don't regret it." Interesting. Charisma.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you for biting that bullet for us. Charisma says, "I watched Planes at a drive-in." You should have watched Cars at a drive-in. Get out of here. Mister. You should have watched Planes on a plane.
Yeah,
come on.
Exactly.
There are rules to this.
Exactly.
Goodness. Awesome person says Planes is in the Cars universe. Maybe they make references to Lightning McQueen or something.
Probably.
Who knows?
Yeah, sure.
Adam Barber says, "Still waiting for Boats," the movie.
Well, the closest thing we got to boats were those
Hunt for the Red October.
That's the battleships in Cars too.
Or the movie Battleship.
Or the movie. Oh, Rihanna, I'm so glad you found better work after that movie. Oh, I'm so glad. Goodness. I'm so glad Ocean's 8 happened for you.
I definitely watched that movie in college, and that was a fun evening of just absolute nonsense. Are they still making movies based on board games? Because I feel like they announced, like many years ago, they announced a whole bunch. Like, we're doing Candyland, we're doing whatever. I don't think they're doing any of those anymore.
I think the last one was Ouija, and it was properly enough a horror movie. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I think that was the last one. I don't think I think Milton Bradley learned from Universal Studios as far as like it was like, "Ah, man, Dark Universe flopped.
Yeah.
Oh, good thing we only released Battleship."
Mm-hmm. It is still so funny to me that I don't know if this is still the case, but at least as of a couple months ago, the Dark Universe Twitter account was still up, and they still had something that was like, "Coming soon." You're not.
No, you're not.
You're not absolutely not. Hey, Owen Likes Comics is here. I still refuse to believe. I still refuse to believe that the Cars sequels are real. Cars 3's good, though.
Yeah.
Do you not agree with me? You sounded hesitant when you said yeah.
No. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I wasn't expecting Cars 3 to be the movie that it was when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a lot of things threw me off. Nathan Fillion voicing the company that bought out Rusty's was not expected.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was like I wasn't expecting, as much as I appreciated it. I wasn't expecting like the shift of Lightning going from racer to pit crew chief, like he did.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting Radiator Springs or even like Mater and everybody to have such a minimal role. I appreciated it,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. It Cars 3 feels almost because I've made references before that the Cars movies are sports movies, and they feel
Mm-hmm.
very they feel like Rocky to me.
Mm-hmm.
And Cars 3 is almost like uh is like a sports movie where the where there's like a new talent coming in. it's
Yep.
it's like a it's like a Creed, but obviously not as good as Creed. But it's like that where but but instead of having McQueen be the coach the whole time, he only happens at the very end. The rest of the time, he's like,
Right.
I can still be McQueen. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
bud. You're old.
Yeah.
You gotta
I
retire. Ha ha, car joke.
I remember feeling like everybody else felt who didn't really appreciate Cars when they saw the teaser trailer for Cars 3.
Yeah.
And it was just that like going in and out of black, and then just the heavy breathing on o- Owen Wilson's heavy breathing and seeing lightning flip. And I just remember going like, oh, is this Cars Gets Real? Because it's like, apparently that's the first time that Pixar has ever like used that type of imagery in an announcement trailer before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like it set like a very interesting tone for 3 that got butts in the seats, I imagine.
Yeah.
It, my butt wasn't in there, but at the same
No.
time, it was like, but I can understand why. And then from what I've seen, because I didn't see it in theaters, a lot of people were expecting a bit more after after Lightning's initial crash, that the teaser trailer
Yeah.
hinted at. And a lot of people were understandably so disappointed, because it was like, yeah, this is because they expected, I guess, more, not necessarily real. I guess they expected more realism on the like the sense of like as much realism as you can get sentient cars, as
Right.
opposed to just seeing the process of just like uh, a sports star recovering from a very traumatic injury and then just trying to get himself back up out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I guess they wanted. I guess what they wanted was like more third act $1 million baby than just like
Yeah.
I'm gonna work and get back up there after this setback.
Absolutely. I think um the awesome person in the chat says the Cars 3 teaser is iconic for making people talk about cars for the first time. And I
Yes.
think that is absolutely true, where even I, who had not seen a Cars movie, saw that trailer and was like, I don't know, maybe I want to watch a Cars movie. I don't know. I still didn't. I didn't until, a couple weeks ago when I did
Mhm.
actually watch them. But it made me go like, I don't know though. That's interesting. And I agree. I feel like they should have leaned into that more. I wish McQueen was totally out of commission for the whole movie.
Mhm.
Um and it was more of a passing of the torch, because as Jeremy Earl in the chat says, they say, I feel like the crew chief transition happened a little too fast to me. Um, and I get that they were trying to make it like a twist, like, ooh,
Mhm.
look at how that's happening. Remember how in the first Cars movie, it was a big twist that Doc Hudson was going to be the pit crew chief at the very end, the very last race?
Yep.
We're doing it again. Which is fine, but I do think I would have loved to see him at least express a little bit of interest in being that, because clearly he's good at it. Where there's that scene on the beach where he's supposed
Yep.
to be training, but instead he's unintentionally training crews.
Exactly.
And I think that's really clever. But there's no, I guess we don't really see that is like a fun thing for him to be like, yeah, I like being a pit crew. Because the whole time he's just like, you're slowing me down. I hate this. I want to go fast and you're, So I don't know. It's like little things like that where it's like, I wish they would build off of it a bit more, a bit better.
I agree.
Yeah. Life is a highway.
I'm going to ride it until I need to get to where I need to go.
That's right.
Exactly.
Someone says, can we retitle this stream to Cars Chat? I already made the thumbnail. Don't make me make another thumbnail. We'll talk about...
We can talk more. We can talk about more about Luca and everything.
We can talk about Luca and... Well, it's more so about Pixar's cinematography. So we don't have to talk about Luca specifically. There's actually a ton of stuff that I cut out of the video. Actually, let me gather you all here for the most interesting fact that I've learned about Pixar that I had to cut out of my video. You're going to love this. Sit with me for a bit. This motion means sit, I guess. Sit with me for a little bit, okay?
All right.
So Luca, right? Luca and a bunch of other Pixar films. Actually, I've noticed this all the way back to Toy Story 2. Uses a film kind of filtering technique called halation. Now, this happens naturally when you're filming with actual film, but if you're shooting digitally, you would need something like a lens filter, like a black pro mist or something like that, where it would basically take a light. Here, let me give you an example. You would need a light, if I can turn this on. Okay, so do you see how this light is glowing? Like there's a hazy sort of glow around it.
Yeah.
High-end digital cameras don't produce that glow typically. You'll just see the bright light and maybe some lens flares, but that glow won't be there. That glow happens a lot filming naturally with film. And again, they use this technique a lot throughout ever since at least Toy Story 2 is where I've noticed it. All right. You sticking with me? Everyone here? We're talking about halation. It naturally happens in film. Luca does this a whole bunch in the world of Porto Rosso. There's halation everywhere to make it look dreamy because it is supposed to be like Luca's dream to be up here and live his life. It's an interesting storytelling tool. What's more interesting about it, though, is when you're using halation in a digital space, you're trying to emulate film in a fully digital space. But what I think is so fascinating is that before Toy Story, before Luxo Jr., the very first computer animated short film was just an animation of a hand rotating and then closing and opening, and that's it. And that was the first time anyone's been able to fully animate anything in 3D space, in computer-generated space. Before then, you could generate images, but no one had made video at that point. So that was the first animated short film. Now, because it was such a new technology, how do you get the footage off of your computer of that? Well, we would think, well, you just save it as an MP4. Didn't have that back in the day. So what they did instead is they hooked it up to a TV, a CRT television, and shot it on film to get it off of the computer. So the very first computer animated short film is shot on actual film.
That's amazing.
And now, all these years later, Pixar has taken that technology. By the way, it was made by someone who would spearhead Pixar, Ed Catmull. So Pixar's journey really started there. And now, all these years later, Pixar is using their technology to emulate film in a digital space, when in the past, they had to use film because they didn't have technology for anything else. So, boy, I think that's really fascinating. I hope you all found that fascinating. That is a whole bit that I had to cut out of my video, but I love it so much. John Johnson says, I understood nothing other than hand and light. Basically, all you need to know in a nutshell is that Pixar uses technology in their lighting and stuff to emulate film. When in the past, the very first thing they had to do was like they had to shoot their 3D stuff on actual literal film. And I just think it's just that like full circle. It's just so interesting.
Uh, I forget what the effect is called, where you remember one thing one way and it actually happened a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
But when the original Pixar short with Luxo Jr., I definitely remember while I remember watching it like on the home release of Toy Story 1, I also for some strange reason remember seeing it on Sesame Street one time,
Interesting.
but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they ever like aired at least something similar to that on Sesame Street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't
But but
know.
but but the memory of it being on Sesame Street is in my head.
That's
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if you experienced the same thing.
I was not a big Sesame Street watcher growing up,
Okay.
but no, that definitely sounds interesting. I've for sure experienced that phenomenon you're talking about of just like
Hmm.
potentially remembering things incorrectly or correctly. Who knows? I mean, if there's someone in the
Yeah.
chat who can confirm this, I don't know. There's so many people in the chat who had no idea what I was talking about for that long period of time. I guess it's a good I guess it's a good thing that I cut it out of the video. Um, so never mind. I think it's the most fascinating fact that I've learned about Pixar, and in trying to explain it, nobody cared. So
it is very interesting. It's kind of like it's it's in a way like romanticizing a bootleg. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, because it's like that's pretty much what it sounds like, and because it's like there wasn't any other way of capturing it on film
Mm-hmm.
other than just using film to record it that
Mm-hmm.
way because it was the only option. So if any, it's definitely if it's definitely a homage if anything. And it's like,
Yeah.
of course, don't go to movie theaters and like record movies like with your phone or like your or a camera like that. But
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like it's like how it's like how those who grew up wanting to get into film, you don't know, you either don't have a VCR that's capable of recording stuff, or you don't know any better and you just want to do things and you just get a handheld camera and just record something straight off the television. It's
Yes.
kind of like that.
It very much so. In fact, that animation of the hand is available on YouTube to watch, and it also was in the movie Future World, which featured because of this animation, featured the very first computer generated video in any movie ever, and it's from a movie that no one's ever heard of. So, made history, that old good Future World. Um, but yeah, you're exactly right. It's so interesting that they had the technology to make this video of a hand, but they had no way of getting it off the computer other than shooting it on
Hmm.
film. It's just,
Yep.
I mean, we've all been there. I've filmed Homestar Runner with my family's camcorder, like off of a TV, being like, yeah, just,
Exactly.
you know. So, uh, yeah, I think that's a really interesting fact. Starfunk DMC says, "Nah, go to your local theaters with a Red Scarlet and record it." Uh, that'd be pretty good. Pretty good. Get some high quality bootlegs. But yeah, something else I want to address about my video specifically is that people fully disagreed with me when I mentioned that When Somebody Loved Me was the saddest moment in a Pixar film.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I
and
I I get it. I get it. Yeah, because
yeah, look, I think that's a good moment. That other one that people have pointed out, I think that's a good one.
Mhm.
But I think this one hits a home a little harder for me. It also just hits home harder for the person I was watching all these movies with, which was my partner Emily, because her name is Emily, and Jesse's previous owner was named Emily. So I think
Still
that is
not
another.
confirmed whether or not Emily is Andy's mom or not. Still not confirmed yet. We're still waiting for that.
Still waiting on it.
I don't know. The Carlin brothers might have figured it out yet, but
Who
they haven't
knows?
gotten back to us yet.
Who knows? I don't even know who these people are.
Exactly, and you work with them, so it's like
Who knows? I don't even know who Ben, Jay. Never heard of those names before. That I just unprompted said out loud without anyone telling me. Yeah, thematically it's more sad because of a toy being abandoned, says Eric. I'll take anyone who's siding with me. Thank you. But yeah, so I just think that's a good one. That's another moment that I almost cut out of the video, and maybe I should have. I'm trying to get better at condensing my thoughts into shorter videos, because it is not super sustainable to continue making 30-minute to hour-long videos every other week for me and my mental health. So we will see how that goes. That being said, I'll you know what? We're nearing the end of the live stream. We've got maybe 15 minutes left. Thank you all for being here. We're gonna do. I like to save the last 10 minutes of the chat for just questions. So if you guys want to start writing questions at all, anything for me, for LaRon, for about Pixar, about Luca, about the Cars trilogy, anything you want to talk about, please leave them in the comments, and we'll just go through a whole dang bunch of them. But I want to really quickly, while you're all writing stuff down there, start teasing what my next couple videos are going to be about. Normally, I like to play a trailer here of stuff that I've edited, but I'm very far behind, so I don't have a trailer. But I will just let you know, I have my next video is. I actually can't mention that one. I forgot I couldn't do that. My next video is coming, and the other one. The other one, my one after that, so I originally was going to make a 3-episode series about Jack Kirby's history, and I still plan on doing that. I'm just going to have to rearrange my content calendar a bit, because you all really apparently love when I talk about Marvel superhero cartoons, so we're going to talk about Iron Man in the next one of those installments, only because when I asked you all to send me DVDs of Iron Man, Hulk, and Namor, the only ones that have shown up, multiple ones that have shown up, is just Iron Man. No one has sent me a Hulk or Namor one yet. So, Iron Man it is. I scanned all of the episodes from the DVDs. Someone sent me a Blu-ray. Oh my God. Someone sent me a Blu-ray of it? Where did you get a Blu-ray of it, first of all? Secondly, they also sent, along with the Blu-ray, a Blu-ray player. Like, who does that?
Wow.
Who does that? I have no way of ripping those, because I only have a DVD drive in my computer, not well, it's not even in my computer. It's like an external thing. But I don't have a Blu-ray thing to rip it. But either way, I got at least some DVD versions of it. Holy cow.
That's amazing.
So thank you all for sending those in. Again, you can send me anything to that P.O. box. I would love those DVDs, but literally anything. Also, everyone sent in very heartfelt notes, so I really appreciate that, because that means a lot to me. And yeah, so that's not the next video. The next video, again, can't mention. The next video, which will come out in late August, is going to be about the Iron Man cartoon. So get ready for that. So awesome. Excited. Now let me just scroll through some comments here. Adam Barber asks, how's the Patreon goal, Scott? That is my next video, or my next Patreon goal is that I will finally make a video about Scott Pilgrim. I think we're at about 560 patrons, so 140 more to go, and I will make a video about Scott Pilgrim. We reached the goal about making a video about Danny Phantom a couple months ago, and so I will do that in October for some spooky, scary, ghosty content. So I have to start watching all of Danny Phantom now. in addition to all the Marvel cartoons, I also have to watch Danny Phantom.
Right.
Let's see any other stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I'm just trying to pull from the best ones. Let's see. What's the subject or theme you'd like to see Pixar tackle next? That could be addressed to either of us. What is the
That's
subject or
true.
theme you'd like to see Pixar tackle next?
What if people
Okay.
had feelings?
Oh, that's good. And they could talk about the insides of us
Yeah,
and talk about how
yeah,
the insides come out
mm-hmm.
sometimes and impact the
Yeah,
outworld. That's good.
yeah, yeah,
That's good.
something like that.
We'll get
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah,
We'll get on that.
perfect.
Pixar, hit us up. We got you. Actually, I have not. On that note, though, I've not seen the Monsters at Work show, and I almost mentioned this in my video because I was so worried. Pixar's so intentional with their camera work and their storytelling. I was so worried that a TV show from Pixar would not have the same care and thoughtfulness. Um,
Understandable.
so I've not seen it, but I've seen people say that they really like it. So who knows?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely surprised me when I watched the first few episodes. I've only seen the first three. I know a couple more have been out. Um, uh, Disney Plus and I don't necessarily see eye to eye when it comes to binge watching versus regular watching. I'm more of a binge watcher, so. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if the show, but as but as WandaVision and Loki have proven to me, if the show is interesting enough, I will tune in every week. Um, uh,
That's
and
true.
that's not to say that Monsters at Work isn't interesting. Um, I it's so short, and it's something that I really want to. As much as I appreciate the weekly release schedule that Disney Plus has, Monsters at Work seems like more of a binge series for me than
Yeah.
anything else that I've seen. It's kind of like how I choose between which anime I'm going to watch dubbed and which anime I'm going to watch subbed and things like that. Literally a thought process regarding how that works in my brain. So, but yeah, from what I've seen of it, it's pretty nice. I really enjoy it. Um, and uh, and I did a video on like how even though I was able to predict where I think the show is going, that shouldn't be a determining factor in whether or not something's worth your time or whether or not it's good or not. Like even if you,
Yeah.
that's pretty much the reason why that's pretty much the reason why the writers at Lost were like, it was like, oh man, we got to change the show at the end. And they figured it out in the first season. We got to fix it. We got to fix it. No, it's fine. It's like even if something's somewhat predictable, you can still see it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And Monsters at
Yeah.
Work definitely seems like one of those shows where it's about the journey, and depending on like whether or not you enjoy the Monsters universe and everything like that, and see how the transition is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I think it's not the destination is the journey is probably the intended message for the Cars movie, the first one.
Right,
Um,
because they drive
because they
to a des-
drive and they always
to a
say like, "Oh, people used to drive to have a good time, not to drive to save time or whatever."
mm-hmm,
I get it.
mm-hmm.
I get it. I was maybe a little harsh on my reading of the first Cars movie.
No, no. I honestly the same like critiques that you got regarding like the theme of
Mm-hmm.
Cars 1, I definitely got, because especially now that I'm older, and like I understand the point that they were trying to make, but it's like the same point could be made in so many other ways that can definitely be toxic if you
Yeah.
keep that side mentality. So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, let's see. We got some great comments from the chat. Both Charisma and FNAF Foxy. Thanks, I guess. Shout out to Five Nights at Freddy's. You know that little game. Um, both asks, what would you say is your favorite Pixar film? And that can go to both of us. Do you have a favorite, Laurent?
uh it's a tie between Inside Out and Coco.
That those are extremely good choices. Those
Yes.
are extremely good choices.
hmm
Those are
but
easily my top five for sure.
yeah, definitely. If I have to choose between those two, the one that made me feel the most and made me like enjoy it the most was probably Coco.
That's such a. I walked. So I had not seen any trailers for Coco. Had absolutely no idea
hmm
what it was about. My friend was like, "Hey, do you want to go watch a movie?" And we were gonna watch something else, but it was
hmm
like we totally missed the time. We were like half an hour late. So the only
Hmm.
other movie they had showing that we were remotely interested in, mostly him, because again, I had no idea what it was Coco. And he was like, "Do you want to watch
Hmm.
Coco?" I was like, "I guess." I don't really know anything about it. I didn't even know that it was a Pixar film or anything. I just genuinely had
Hmm.
not heard of it. And we went in to watch it, like totally no expectations or anything, and was just blown away. It is
Hmm.
such a moving piece of art. It is so beautiful, both emotionally and just visually, and like the
Yes.
music is so good. Everything about it
Hmm.
is just absolutely stunning. That is easily a instant classic for Pixar. Yeah.
Hmm.
If I had to pick
Yeah.
one for me, the one that my brain always goes back to, and this is just, you will have guessed it if you know anything about me. I love The Incredibles. I think The Incredibles is just so good.
Hmm.
Uh, I always think every time I watch a new Pixar film, like Luca, when I watched Luca and Soul, when I watched both of those earlier this year, I was like, that's my new favorite. Those are like Soul happened. I'm like, Soul's my new favorite. Luca happened. Luca's my new favorite. But then the the more I keep remembering how much I love The Incredibles, I'm just like, oh, The Incredibles is so good
Yeah.
though. Ah.
Yeah.
And so that's the one that I would watch. I mean, even when I was pulling assets for my video, and we talked so much about The Incredibles. I mean, you had that whole bit about the Syndrome's computer, which was
So
so
good.
good, so
So
incredible.
good.
And
Ha
unintentional.
ha.
But I mean, Syndrome's monologues, his like screen presence, everything about the movie and the way that they film it, and just the characters are so human for being so super. I love just the generic family arguments they get into, even though they have
Hmm.
superpowers. It's just so good. So that's the one I keep thinking about. As I was pulling assets for that, I just kept playing out whole scenes. I was like, I only need a clip of this. I only need 2 seconds of this, but I will watch the next 5 minutes of this movie.
Can I tell you something? The comic book fan in me really wanted Jack to have like this like after seeing all the things that Jack could do at the end of the first Incredibles movie,
Mm-hmm.
it was like I really wanted some type of like Teen Titans Raven slash Trigon dynamic as the reason why he had so many abilities or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like as much as I enjoyed Incredibles 2, it was like I was a bit bummed out when there was an actual explanation as to why Jack has so many powers, as opposed to just like, but you could have saved that for Incredibles 3 and gone the supernatural route. They haven't fought a supernatural villain yet. That would have been
That
perfect.
would have been
But it was,
great. I mean, give us Incredibles 3 so that there can be another proper Pixar trilogy that isn't Cars,
yes,
please.
please.
Would appreciate it. No, I would love to know in the chat. Everyone, some people have already started posting this, but people who are here, what is your favorite Pixar movie? I would love to
Mhm.
know. I bet we have a whole range of opinions here. $5 super chat from Everett Bradfute. Thank you so much. Asks I or says rather, I love. I love the friend care in your collab. Please do more of that together, at least behind the scenes.
Well, it helps that we're actually friends. So
It helps, and well, mostly I just think I'm friends, and then Laurent's a good actor, and he's like he can tune into that and be like, "Yeah, Scott, of course we're friends. Sure, whatever you need for the camera." And I'm like, "Thanks, bud." And you're like, "Uh huh,
no, 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 no. It's no. We actually are. I'm
yeah."
so a little insider guffaw. Uh, I'm like as of tomorrow will be like probably either 3 or 4 years older than you. I had no idea you were so young, and neither did a lot of our mutual YouTuber friends. Like Matt from Nando V Movies, we were back when we were doing our like Captain America collab. It was like, can you imagine how young? Do you know how young Scott is? And he was like, I know, right? It's ridiculous. I thought he was around our age.
I just assume everyone's around my age, but I just feel I are you not younger than me?
I will be 33 tomorrow.
I had no idea. I I was like, surely Laurent's in his late 20s, just like me.
uh, I
Apparently
wish.
not. I
I
had
wish.
no. So like, I think here's the thing about that. I mentioned in a
Hmm.
couple videos now that I'm like getting anxiety from like turning 30, and like part of that is just being played up for the camera, but
Hmm.
there is also a part of that that is very real. Only because, and you could have asked me at any other point in my life, I would have been like, I love turning older. I love getting gray hair. I really do. I still do. I think
Hmm.
it's great. I genuinely like not having hair because I don't have to worry about a bad hair day anymore. It's great. All
Hmm.
that stuff is great. I like the idea of looking kind of wrinkly and distinguished in the future. That is also great. But the thing
Hmm.
that made me snap and go and start panicking is when I watched Bo Burnham's Inside, and he had a song about how he was turning 30, and I'm like, how are you that young? You've done so much. Are you kidding me? What have I done? I've done nothing. I've done nothing, and I'm almost 30. So that is the thing that has snapped me to be like, gosh, what have I done?
Go figure. A Netflix special causes you to have your midlife crisis.
Yeah, go figure. Of all things, Bo Burnham's Inside triggered my anxiety. Who would have thought? What an interesting and unique perspective to have, Scott. Um, just a couple more questions because we are past the hour. We'll speed
Mm.
through these really quickly. There's a lot of juicy ones that we could spend a whole bunch of time on. So really quickly, Adam Barber says, serious question: have you fed Sparta? Of course I fed Sparta. He's great. He's doing fine. He's a big fat cat with a big full belly. Don't worry about him. He's doing great. Very cuddly. Awesome person says, are you ever going to talk about the best Marvel cartoon ever, the Marvel Superhero Squad? I don't have plans to talk about it because I have so many older cartoons to do, but I do remember that show. It was not my jam when I first watched it, but only because I was expecting something a little, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be more serious. I just wanted something more serious, and it's obviously very goofy because it's for children, and that's great. It
Mm.
just wasn't for me at the time, but I also, because of that, haven't really seen it. So maybe it's great. I've heard a lot of people say they really like it. Have you ever seen that show?
No, no.
No.
I've only seen Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends,
Mm-hmm.
in which Iceman was voiced by the same person who voices Ray in the real Ghostbusters cartoon,
Oh,
and
really?
I think is also Fred from Scooby Doo, at least one of the iterations of Scooby Doo.
Oh, like the Frank Welker is Fred.
I think yeah,
Yeah.
it was the real Ghostbusters, so it was definitely it was in the 80s, so uh, that era, I
Okay.
guess.
Cool. That's an interesting little fun fact. I got to do more research about the voice actors for the Marvel cartoons. That's always been really interesting to me. Awesome person also asks, are you going to do the Namor cartoon last? So far in my content calendar, Namor is not last. Actually, Hulk is last because I at least have someone promising to send me Namor with receipts, but I haven't gotten it yet. No one has told me that they're sending me Hulk yet, as far as I know. So Hulk is last. Um, so if someone sends me Hulk, we'll see. So far, Hulk's not even on the calendar because like I don't have it. How can I put it on the calendar? I can't promise anything.
Right.
Um, let's see. This is the last big question we'll ask because I think it's really interesting. Raul asks, how do you think Pixar differs from other studios? And I thought about this a lot. I think like something like is Illumination is the other kind of big one, other
Yeah.
than DreamWorks, obviously.
Hmm.
Illumination, I think they have one kind of engine that they use for all of their movies, and they don't try to push the technology forward at all. Really, they just try and
Hmm.
everything is bright, everything is perfectly lit, everything is super vibrant and colorful, and they just put assets in there and they just make a movie as cheaply as they can with like the engine that they already have. I think what separates Pixar from the crowd is that they're constantly pushing the technology forward. They're
Right.
constantly, as we discussed earlier, they're still trying to be stylistic. They're not trying to be overly photorealistic as technology increases. And I think it's just that creativity, that artistry that continues to make the artists at Pixar never settle. They're always trying to break something and push something past what the medium previously allowed. I think that's what separates them from me as something
Yeah,
special.
I definitely agree because you can. It's like one of the big. You know that you're doing something right when the main complaint between Toy Story 2 to Toy Story 3 is that Andy doesn't look as busted as he did in 1 and 2 when we see him as a kid in 3 and 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone also pointed out to me, and maybe this could be a video in and of itself, not something that I would do, but I might pitch it to the guys, that Pixar's short films seem to be the place where they test new pieces of technology before they put them in their
Yes.
films. And
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
There's definitely a short that they did that you can definitely see drew inspired certain aspects of like the great before in
Mm-hmm.
Soul. I can't remember what, but it was they were definitely playing with lines and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
um and it definitely became like a prominent feature in Soul once Joe was in the great
Yeah.
before.
Even just the one that I'm thinking of, Jerry's game with the chess. I think that was them trying to see how good they could do humans,
Hmm.
because they did humans very like, not, it wasn't the focus of the first Toy Story.
Right.
There was Sid, was the biggest, most present human, and then by the time that Toy Story 2 came out, you had literally Jerry, the same person, come in and repair Woody. And obviously that movie had way more humans in it. Al from Al's Toy Barn was a much bigger
Hmm.
focus of it.
Yep.
So yeah, I think stuff like that is really, really interesting. And it's not just people; it's like environments. It's like what you were saying, different style choices. So that could be a video in and of itself. I think that's really interesting. But I probably won't do it. I have so much planned. I do not have time in my calendar. I'm talking about cartoons for almost the rest of the year, so I hope people like it. So many people are saying that I should continue to talk about cartoons, and I will, because you all seem to like it. So thank you for doing that. Thank you, Laurent, for being here. Is there anything that you want to plug really quickly? I've kept you way longer than we had
No, it's
anticipated.
no problem. I'm probably part of the reason why we went over. It's fine. Um, you can find me at my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Readus101. That's Readus, the number one, the number zero, the number one. You can find me on Twitter. It's same spelling, with an underscore between the Readus and the 101, because somebody has at Readus 101 hasn't done anything with it and refuses to give it up. Um,
I know how
um,
that is.
yes, exactly. More proper movie trilogies in the future. August for August installment is going to be on Thor. And then I'm going to be doing some other stuff with other YouTubers. Some that you know, some that you don't. A lot more. I do movie and TV show analysis and geek and pop culture news videos on news and stuff like that. And if you want to hear my unfiltered, slightly filtered thoughts, you can go to my Twitter and just shoot the breeze.
Absolutely. Links to not only Laurent's video that we did together about the Cars trilogy, but also his entire channel is over in the description below. Go check it out. Go subscribe. It's a good time. You post way more videos than I do, so that counts for something. And they're all very good. I do not know how you are able to pump out videos that continue to be interesting and informative and thoughtful at such a pace that you do.
I
Um,
greatly appreciate that. I question that myself sometimes.
they're so good. So yeah, and then as for me, obviously nerdsyncstore.com if you want a shirt. No content, only context is almost out of stock, and I do not plan on ordering any more of them. So we're already out of certain sizes, and all the other ones are in single digits. So if you want yours, go get it as quick as possible, because they're almost out and they're not gonna be in stock anymore. So, fantastic! Thank you all for joining this live stream. I really enjoy doing these live streams. I love being able to chat with you all. It's such a fun time, and I hope to do this again in another couple weeks from now, where we're talking about a video that I can't mention yet. Next week is going to be a video that I can't talk about, but it's going to be a fun time.
uh,
So yeah, I'm going to play this really short video, and then the live stream will end. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this live stream. I hope you had fun. I know that I did. If you don't want to miss any future live streams we'll be doing on this channel, make sure you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of them. In the meantime, I've got a bunch of videos on this channel that I would love if you checked out. I'll have some playlists linked below in the description. But until next time, my name is Scott, reminding you to read between the panels and grow smarter through comics. See ya.